It's that time of year when government ministers, lawmakers, think tanks and journalists go into overdrive with forecasts for 2019. They'll all be listening very closely to what North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has to say in his New Year's Day speech. I'm here to explain why. This is Alex Jensen for Korea Now's K-News Today. If we think back to this time last year, when the world's anxiety had been fueled by US President Donald Trump's threat of fire and fury against North Korea, we then received a mixed New Year's message from Chairman Kim. On the one hand, he warned that he has a nuclear button at his disposal. But his address also urged dialogue with South Korea, which in hindsight signaled what was to come: an unprecedented year with 3 inter-Korean summits and a first ever meeting between American and North Korean leaders. But for all that, 2018's coming to an uneasy close, with promises either broken or left in limbo, and with Washington and Pyongyang keeping us all waiting on what happens next. The US is holding firm to its demand for denuclearization before easing sanctions on the North, while the latter blames Washington's refusal to budge for the ongoing deadlock, and worryingly is gradually shifting up its criticism of the White House, suggesting its patience is wearing thin. So it is naturally with great interest that we await Kim's next New Year's speech, just days from now. Hopefully, he'll indicate his willingness to speak with Trump again, just as he welcomed dialogue with South Korea nearly a year ago. We're expecting a second U.S. North Korea summit by February, with Indonesia, Mongolia and Vietnam all reportedly being considered as venues. All indications are that we can take the possibility of this meeting seriously. Then again, we're also looking for clues to indicate what might come from Trump-Kim talks, where they failed to produce real progress last June in Singapore. There's a mix of cautious optimism and pessimism among analysts in South Korea. As for North Korea, Chairman Kim is expected to continue his focus on economic development, a view that's strengthened by media reports which have been highlighting not only the current leader's plans, but also the efforts to improve the livelihood of the people by his late father, Kim Jong-il, in whose honor there has been a particularly commemorative mood in recent days, as this past Monday marked 7 years since his death. Pyongyang's focus on the economy rather than military achievements could indicate the tone to come in Chairman Kim's speech, but there is another view. North Korea might decide to ramp up the pressure if it loses hope in negotiating a breakthrough with the US, and it might prepare a Plan B, according to former Unification Minister Lee Jong-seok. Speaking recently at a conference in Seoul, he cautioned that it is unlikely for Pyongyang to make unilateral concessions to the US for sanctions relief. Lee's conclusion was that President Trump needs to ease sanctions if he wants actions to be taken by the North. As South Korea knows all too well from recent international talks, there's little global appetite for that, so it's hard to see what's going to give. Aside from a possible second Trump-Kim summit, what else can we expect? We can anticipate that the Koreas will be seeking continued and expanded cooperation, pushing as far as possible within the framework of sanctions. Seoul and Pyongyang will continue the sports diplomacy that proved so successful earlier this year, including a planned meeting with the International Olympic Committee in February to discuss jointly hosting the 2032 Games, which would be an incredible feat given where we've come from. On the North Korean side, likely more pressure on the US without risking breaking negotiations altogether for now, but perhaps also a move even closer towards China in search of economic growth, with some experts expecting a possible first visit by Chinese President Xi Jinping to Pyongyang in 2019. We might even get to witness Kim fulfill his vow to come to Seoul, albeit later than we'd been told to expect. Cynics might suggest North Korea will be happy to string along the US as long as it can. So it will be just as important to monitor Washington for signs of its own patience breaking. Political pressures likely to build on President Trump from all sides, and it's not clear how long that will allow him to stay committed to dialogue with North Korea. If we get to the summer and South Korea and the US have kicked off large-scale military drills again, then we'll know we're heading in the wrong direction, and it would be a blow to South Korean President Moon Jae-in's peace plan. No wonder Lee Jong-suk's successor, Kim Jong-un, told reporters this week that the early months of next year will be critical. At least for now, Chairman Kim can offer both Seoul and Washington's current administrations a boost by avoiding nuclear boasts and delivering a message of hope on January 1st, 2019.